The UFC has upped the fight of the night bonuses to $300,000. That's a giant chunk of money. That is way more money than most of these fighters are going to make in an entire year. Is that going to affect how they fight? Are people going to come out reckless, headhunting, looking for the finish to get those bonuses? Should we be betting the round unders on every single one of these fights? Well, my name is Angelo. This is We Want Picks, and I'm going to give you my bets for UFC 300. Before I do, let me talk about the success that Jacob and I have had on pay-per-views in 2024. We've been dominating pay-per-views in 2024. There's only been 3 pay-per-views, and we have given you almost 12 units of net profit. That's almost 4 units per event. UFC 300 is going to be no different. I already have my premium member safety parlay up and ready to go. These are undefeated on pay-per-views this year. The last 9 pay-per-views, it has been dominating. All you need to do to unlock the safety parlay and everything else we do is go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It's freaking $10 a month. It's $10 a month. What are we talking about? It's $10 a month, and this isn't some Twitter dorks Patreon with a list of 5 bets. This is a full-blown interactive website with things like tools. One of those tools is the line movement tracker. This is going to give you the opening odds, the current odds, the win probability, and the line movement for every fighter on every card. You're also going to get detailed data, metrics, and analytics. So not only does premium membership get you access to all of our picks and bets, but it's also going to get you access to our artificial intelligence. It's also going to give you access to our data. It's also going to give you access to our tools and everything that you need heading into the biggest event of all time to find some success and make some money. And that $10 is per month. You're not just going to get this card, but you're going to get UFC Vegas 91 and whatever the cards are after that. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's freaking $10. The greatest value in this space. Let's go ahead and talk about this card specifically. I am going to show you my bets, but before I do, let's talk in general terms. Let's talk about some of my more confident favorites and some really solid underdogs. You are going to see one pick in here is conflicting. But talking about favorites, I think Jalen Turner's a very good favorite. I think he's one of the better value favorites on the card, at least for the time being. Jalen Turner's going to be light years ahead of Renato Moicano in the striking. His jiu-jitsu defense is solid. His jiu-jitsu offense is solid, and his takedown defense is solid. The only way I see Renato Moicano winning this fight is if he somehow survives early and then grinds out some sort of wrestling win. Problem is, Renato's takedowns aren't very good. Renato's been finished plenty of times. The only thing that worries me is Jalen Turner has literally never won a decision in his entire career. I don't know if it's going to come to that. I do think Jalen Turner gets this done. He hits too hard. He manages range too well, and his takedown defense is too good. I also like Kayla Harrison here. There were early concerns about her weight. If you don't know who Kayla Harrison is, she is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist judoka, so a judo practitioner. She had fought in the Judo Olympics at 170 pounds. She fought in the PFL. The lowest she fought in the PFL was 150 pounds. This is going to be 15 pounds lighter than her last fight. I was worried about that. I said, let's wait till the weigh-in, see how she looks. She looked fantastic at the press conference, upbeat, tons of energy. She is an Olympian. I do trust her, and I do think what's going to happen, while this isn't insane value as it is, but I do think at those weigh-ins, when she makes weight and she looks fresh, I do think the line's going to move even more. Kayla Harrison is fighting a 42-year-old Holly Holm. I like Kayla Harrison here. And if you are worried about the weigh-ins and you want to check those out, we do a post-fight weigh-in recap right here on We Want Picks. And the host is Minty Betts. Yes, Minty Betts from the ESPN broadcast. Minty Betts from the UFC does our post-fight weigh-in recap here on We Want Picks. So make sure you check that out. I also love Arman Tsarukyan here. You guys hate that. Everybody loves Charles Oliveira. I have him as a solid underdog as well. But I think Arman Tsarukyan's wrestling is going to be too much. Charles Oliveira is one of the best finishers in the history of the UFC. But I don't think striking is going to matter because hopefully, fingers crossed, hopefully Arman Tsarukyan just shoots a takedown instantly. So striking won't matter. And then once he's on the ground, Arman should have good enough submission defense to avoid any problems. Look at what Islam did to Charles. I think it's going to be something similar to that. And I think Weili Zhang is the biggest lock on this card. Obviously, Bo Nickal's line is insane. It's not bettable at this point. But Bo Nickal only has 5 fights in his entire career. And while Cody Brundage isn't exactly the epitome of durability or the epitome of decision-making, He is a guy with insane power in his hands who has been in that octagon more times than Bo Nickel has ever even thought about being in an octagon. So Bo Nickel's line isn't even worth betting. I think Weili is the biggest lock on this card. She's going to be better than Yan Xiaonan literally everywhere. People are going to say that Yan's striking is better. Even if it is slightly better, Weili has so much more power, so much more speed, so much better wrestling that the pitter-patter striking from Yan's not going to matter. And let's talk about some underdogs. This is a tricky card to bet. Historically, pay-per-views are easy. There's some mismatches. The UFC's trying to build some things, but that's not what we have here. We have 12 different current and former UFC champions. Everybody on this card except Kayla Harrison has been in that octagon plenty of times. Everybody on this card is a professional that has been around, that has achieved some of the highest points in this sport. So what that means is almost every single underdog is live. So I had the task of picking out a few. There's some names on here that are missing. Jamal Hill, probably a good underdog, obviously, but I'm not going to put him on here. I think that fight is too close to a pick'em. Same with Jiri Prochazka. He just got knocked out. He's a little sloppy. Raychik is going to be the better striker, so I left them out. When we're talking about underdogs, these are people that I genuinely think can win. Cody Garbrandt at plus 250. You guys hate that pick. I've seen the comment sections. You guys are Davison's not losing. Here's my perspective. Davison's going up 10 pounds. 10 pounds. That's a lot of weight to give up when you're that small. Davison also is going to rely on some wrestling. He's not going to be the better striker in this matchup. So he's going to rely on his wrestling. And he's not going to take down Cody Garbrandt, who has good high-level wrestling offense and good high-level wrestling defense. Cody Garbrandt's going to be faster. He's going to be the more technical striker, and he's going to hit harder. The biggest issue for Cody is his chin has been long gone for several years. The $300,000 bonus might be a problem, honestly, because he might come forward and he might just chin up in the air looking for that finish and then get caught. I am going to trust that Cody, the former champion at this weight class, can be bigger, faster, stronger. And yes, Deiveson Figueiredo is a very good fighter. He was the former champion at the weight class below, but we've seen Deiveson Figueiredo quit. We watched Brandon Moreno break him. We've never seen Cody Garbrandt quit. We've seen his chin fail him, but that's not a choice. So I do like Cody Garbrandt, plus 250. I mean, you can't. I think he's one of the better underdogs, especially at that price point. Jim Miller, plus 155. I think his fight versus Bobby Green should be a 50-50 fight. Bobby Green's going to be the better striker and has good takedown defense. But Bobby Green has also been knocked out twice in his last 4 fights. Cold. Not just like kind of knocked, straight up knocked out cold. And while Jim Miller didn't build his career with one-punch knockout power, we have seen that later in his career. Jim Miller's a consummate professional who shows up ready to go, looked better than ever at 40 years old. At 40 years old in his last fight, he has literally looked better than ever. I think Jim Miller's a decent dog here. Calvin Kattar, plus 147. I did end up picking Aljamain Sterling, but like by this much. And the reasoning behind this pick, or the reasoning behind putting Calvin Kattar on the solid underdog list here, is because Calvin Kattar is also going to be the much bigger, stronger fighter in this fight. We have Aljamain moving up 10 pounds. Calvin Kattar has very clean, crisp, fast boxing. Calvin Kattar's technique is rock solid. His hands are always where they are supposed to be. He's got good takedown defense. The concern is that Calvin Kattar hasn't fought in a year and whatever months. Over a year layoff. He had surgery. He blew his knee out in his last fight, and he's recovering from that. This is his first fight back. That layoff worries me, but Aljamain Sterling has historically horrific takedowns. Historically horrific takedowns. He missed 60-something takedowns in his last 5 fights. 6-0. I think it's like 68 takedowns he has missed in his last 5 fights. So I don't think that Aljamain Sterling is just going to march forward and Merab Dvalishvili his way to a win. I think he will struggle getting the takedowns. And as we know, these Vegas judges hate cage control. These Vegas judges hate wrestlers. They hate wrestlers. The Vegas judges are turning this sport into the kickboxing championships of the world. And if Calvin can defend some takedowns, land the better strikes, the judges may go his direction. The layoff does worry me. That's why I personally picked Aljamain Sterling, but I think Calvin Kattar is a phenomenal underdog. Charles Oliveira. You guys love him. Everybody is on the Charles Oliveira side. Everybody. The champ has a name. And I get it. Charles Oliveira is the best finisher in the history of this sport. He absolutely is. He can finish you on the feet. He can finish you on the ground. He literally has the record for the most submission wins. But Charles Oliveira can't defend a takedown. Arman Tsarukyan is a phenomenal wrestler. With that being said, how could you not have the greatest finisher in the history of this sport in this list? I do think he's a solid underdog. I do not have Arman Tsarukyan in my safety parlay for that reason. So there you guys go. All the people who came from my head when I said Arman wins this fight. I recognize that Charles Oliveira can absolutely win. And then Max Holloway. Here's the reality of this fight. Max Holloway is going to be the better striker. Max Holloway is going to have the better defense. Max Holloway is durable, but the big question is he durable enough? Justin Gaethje has a history of destroying people's faces. And this fight could look very similar to the Chito Vera-Rob Font fight. If you go back in time and watch that fight, Rob Font outlanded Chito Vera 2-1. 2-1. But Rob Font looked like his face was run through a hamburger grinder. And therefore, Chito Vera won that decision. This could look like that. Max Holloway could double Justin Gaethje's strikes, but wear the damage and lose a decision. Or Max Holloway could double and or triple the strikes, not wear the damage, be durable, and just wear on Justin Gaethje and take a close decision. I think Max Holloway is a decent underdog, and if we get to Jacob's bets, you'll see the odds that he got on Max. Let's talk about my actual bets. I don't have a ton. I got to be honest, I was looking at the slate. I'm trying to find bets. I'm trying to find things that make sense, and a lot of these odds are too far gone, and a lot of these fights are super, super close. Jacob found 10 units worth of bets. I'm chilling at 3.75, and that is sort of a contrast of betting styles. I typically have 5 or fewer units on the board, and if everything goes well, I can double my money. And that's basically what we have here. I have Cody Garbrandt right off the rip. Only a quarter of a unit. The $300,000 bonus does have me worried because I think he might be chasing too hard, and we know we can't trust his chin. But for all the reasons I mentioned before, he will literally be bigger, faster, and stronger. He will have the better wrestling. You just can't trust his chin, but I do think Cody Garbrandt can win this fight. Quarter of a unit. I think those odds were just too good to pass up. And then I have Calvin Kattar at plus 3.5. If you don't know what that means is I am buying points on the judges' scorecard. This is the equivalent to betting the spread, but for MMA. And the way this math shakes out is if this goes to a decision and Calvin wins one single round, so he can lose a 29-28, he can lose a split, but all he has to do is win one single round on all 3 judges' scorecards, and this bet pays. If he wins the fight outright, it pays. If he loses a close decision, it pays. The only way I lose my money here is if Calvin gets finished, which is not going to happen, or if Calvin gets shut down in a 30-27 style decision. I don't think that happens as well. I have a half a unit on that. Then I have the Youssef Lopez fight over 1.5 rounds. Sadiq Youssef is not a finisher. And while Diego Lopez has been a finisher as of late, he historically is not a wild finisher as well. And he's not just going to charge forward and knock out the much better striker in Sadiq Youssef the same way that he did Pat Sabatini. Sadiq Youssef's not a 40-year-old Gavin Tucker. I do think this fight goes a little bit longer. Sadiq Youssef is a patient guy who will wait on the outside, who will keep Diego Lopez away with the strikes. Diego Lopez does not use his wrestling very often. And if he's in a striking fight with Sadiq, he's not going to be able to close the distance. Sadiq's going to be able to keep him at bay. I like the over 1.5 rounds here. And then the main event, I like the over 1.5 there as well. Obviously, we have 2 very good, very powerful strikers, specifically Pereira with the night-ending left hook. But it's not as if Pereira is just knocking out every single one of his opponents in 5 minutes. He went 5 rounds with Izzy the first time. He went 3 rounds with Bruno Silva. Pereira can go later. Pereira can fight. Pereira can take his time. He doesn't come out there reckless like a Jiri Prochazka. He doesn't come out there reckless looking for a finish. So I do think over 1.5 makes sense, and obviously the line reflects that. Then we have a parlay, a round line parlay. We got Brundage Nickel under 1.5, and I have parlayed that with Aljamain Sterling and Calvin Kattar over 2.5. We'll talk about Brundage Nickel. I don't think that fight is going to go very long. We either have Bo Nickel living up to the hype with a big takedown and a finish on the ground, or Cody Brundage playing spoiler with a big overhand or a guillotine. Both of those things are accounted for in the under 1.5. Neither one of these fighters have even sniffed a second round in a while. Certainly not halfway through a second round. And then Sterling and Qatar. Listen, Aljamain Sterling is tough, but not dangerous. Calvin Qatar is tough, but not dangerous. That is a recipe for a decision. I do think we get to a decision over 2.5. This parlay is basically even money at -111. And then I parlayed two of my biggest favorites, or my most confident favorites. That's not the safety parlay, but I do have Kayla Harrison and Arman Saruki. And all the reasons I mentioned before, I think Arman's just going to be such a better wrestler that he's going to get the takedown and he's going to hang out on top. I think he will finish Charles Oliveira, and that's not a slight to Charles. Charles goes out on his shield. He's been finished in... Charles hasn't been to a decision in 10-something years. So I think Arman Sarukian will get the takedown in the finish, and I parlayed him with Kayla Harrison. I think Kayla Harrison is just set up for success. She's fighting a 42-year-old that is not dangerous. I think Kayla Harrison gets this fight to the cage, gets this fight to the ground, and then wins from there. And then I do have the safety parlay. If you don't know what the safety parlay is, it is a parlay that I put on the board for premium members every single week. And it does historically insanely well. Pay-per-view specifically, it's phenomenal. The stability from the safety parlay in pay-per-views is unmatched. And obviously this is fist fighting and something can go very wrong very quickly. But if you want to unlock the safety parlay, if you want to see every single historical safety parlay, go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It is only $10 for an entire month. So you're not just going to get this safety parlay for UFC 300. You'll also get it for UFC Vegas 91 and the other cards after that for an entire month. Just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member at the top, and you can unlock the safety parlay, the tools, all the other bets, and everything else, including Jacob's bets. Jacob has 10 plus units on the board right now. And as of right now, as of this minute, we do not have the significant strike prop bets or the takedown prop bets, where I imagine he will add a little bit of action there as well. A couple of teaser bets from Jacob, a little wet your whistle, entice you into signing up for premium. Max Holloway is his underdog lock of the week, and he's had that on the board for quite some time, so he got him at plus 170. And then after, this is the newest bet that he has placed, after Dana White announced the $300,000 fight of the night bonuses, he went out there, he saw Bobby Green go, oh my God, I'm getting that money. And then he immediately bet Bobby Green, Jim Miller to not go the distance, and basically got that at even money. And that makes sense. If Bobby Green's going to come out there wild and reckless looking for a finish, he could A, finish Jim Miller, or B, walk himself into something. And either way, not going to a decision after that $300,000 announcement looks pretty good. If you want to unlock the rest of Jacob's bets, just go to WeWantPicks.com, click Become a Member. It is only $10 for an entire month. And if you're looking to get $250, BetOpenly was kind enough to put out an entry, to put out a contest for our community. You don't need to be a premium member. Anybody can do this. Use the link in our description. Enter this contest with code WWP. And you just pick 5 fighters. And if you're right, you win $250,000. It's literally that simple. You do not need to spend any money. This is a free contest. It's essentially a giveaway. The only reason I'm not calling it a giveaway is because you have to not be stupid. You pick 5 losers, I promise you're not getting that money. But if you pick 5 winners, or if at least you have the better picks of everybody else that's entered this contest, you take the money. If there's a tie, they divide the money. Either way, it is 100% free to enter. You 100% have the best picks, you will get the money. It is literally that simple. There's no commitment. The only thing you need to do is have a BetOpenly account. You don't even need to have money in it. Go to WeWantPicks.com/BetOpenly. Go to BetOpenly.com. Make your account. The link to enter this contest is below in the description. 100% free, zero commitment. Make your account. Hop in there. Pick your 5 fighters, and good luck to you. And if you want to know a little bit more about BetOpenly, it is peer-to-peer betting. It is not a casino. They are not a sports book. It's me versus you. For example, Jacob has a bet on Max Holloway. And if you think Justin Gaethje wins, you can grab the other side of that bet. You can literally take Jacob's money from his account and put it in yours. It's not you versus the book. It's you versus your peer. It's you versus whoever the hell you were arguing with in the comment section. Check out BetOpenly. They have the best odds in the game, and that's because, again, they're not a sports book. They're not trying to beat you. They just take 1% of all the transactions. So they're just trying to get volume. They give you the best odds. Everybody bets each other. They handle the money. They make sure people get paid. And then that means you get the best possible odds. Guys, let me know your favorite picks below. Let me know your bets below. Become a premium member at WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top.